You're a new or returning player to Diablo Immortal. You've played maybe a little bit before, but if you actually look at your character, you don't have very much stats. Maybe you're significantly behind on combat rating. You want to get caught up to the other people, but you do have your bonus server paragon level experience, and you have the catch-up mechanics of the game. So you want to know, what do I do as a new or returning player to get caught up to the other difficulties so I can progress up to where everybody else is and not feel as behind? First, we need an overarching goal, which is very often going to be the highest difficulty level. Then what you're going to do is look at the difficulty level the server is on and look at the combat rating requirement. We need to get to 11,310 combat rating is our ultimate goal in order to be able to participate. Well, as you can see, we have a pop-up here from a clan. One of the best things you can do right in the beginning is join a clan, because there are multiple bonuses you can get for being in a clan, as well as the accursed tower. And the reason we want to be in the clan that has one of these towers is this actually generates experience and gold on the hourly. So this is a huge bonus if you're starting from the beginning. This is another helpful catch-up experience mechanic. Now, we also have PvE farming that we can do within these towers, and we do get bonus gear, etc. from contributing to this. And this actually isn't a bad place to PvE farm, because if you go to this tower and you farm within the PvE section of this tower, it has a 1 combat rating requirement, meaning that you could probably find people within your clan to farm there, because it's almost like Elder Rift, where everyone can farm there, and no problem from the beginning. There's no combat rating requirement. So even though you are at, this combat rating here, 888, for instance, for me, I could go to the tower and farm with a group from my clan, and we can all be able to play together, and it's arguably one of the better places to farm, and it drops the new cursed gear. But also, being in the clan is going to be important, because more than likely within the clan you can find people to do a warband with. A warband from the beginning is going to be important, because you get more bonus stats here. These bonus stats will contribute to combat ratings. You can see strength, intelligence, willpower, vitality, and fortitude, etc. You're going to want to get into a warband so you can do the Heliquary raids. The Heliquary raids in and of themselves will give you combat rating and bonus stats and help in challenge rifts. As you can see, you can upgrade them from doing the raids, but you're also going to get these demonic remains, which you can equip in these slots, which will give you even more bonus combat rating, as the attributes are 1-to-1 for combat rating. So for this reason, even if you like to play this game solo, it is better to have a group, be part of a clan, be part of a warband, as there is direct combat rating benefits that are associated with this, as well as passive experience and gold per hour, which will translate to improving your character quicker over time than choosing to not participating in a clan. However, luckily, 800% bonus is quite nice. Now, the reason the server paragon level matters so much is, as you get closer to the server paragon level, your experience is going to be less rewarding. Meaning you'll go from 800% to eventually, when you're at server paragon level, you get even experience at 100%, and then above it, you get lower experience. So right now, you get a benefit of catch-up experience, but not only that, you're also getting a benefit of drop rate. Currently, if you're more than 40 levels behind the server paragon, legendary item drop rate is 2.5 times higher, meaning you're going to be receiving upgrades as you fly through the paragon levels. The reason for this is gear. The stats attributed to the gear are off of a few things. First of all, if a row is exceptional, etc., how the actual row of the item is. But there is base stats and a ceiling stat based upon both the difficulty of the item you got it from. So if you get it from Hell 5, it's going to bear stats in Hell 4, for instance. But also, the higher your paragon level is, the higher the stats on the gear. So for instance, to give you the example of this, if you're looking at the highest difficulty, people at 600 paragon getting Hell 8 gear are getting less total stats than people at 900 paragon getting Hell 8 gear. This is for legendary equipment only. Sets actually do not follow this logic. They are tied only to Hell difficulty. Okay, so you've either found a clan, found a warband, or decided to skip that part and go to the next part of the non-social part of the game. So now what we need to do is we need to do a couple things. First of all, we need to go to the Codex and actually look and realize that there's a lot of bonuses we can get from in here. Both purification shards, which will be used for curse gear, as well as set items, which will help us increase our combat rating to go through the difficulties, as well as these battle pass points, which will gives us huge chunks of experience. You're going to notice these huge chunks of experience are going to help us fly through. We just got a full level right there, fly through the levels, because it is associated with the 800%, meaning at battle pass rank, when it's pretty much full, about, after you get a few levels and it goes up to taking 180 battle pass points, you are getting 8 times the 970,000. So you're getting just shy of 8 million experience, which is 2 full paragon levels every time you get a battle pass upgrade. That's because this battle pass chest here gives you huge chunks of experience. So you want to make sure you're doing activities as well as quests, etc., in order to get these big chunks of experience. And if you just do your dailies, you go in here, you pretty much do your 3 dungeons a day. You do your guaranteed Bestuary legendary, which you can get a guaranteed legendary every day from doing this one. This here, plus the dungeons, will be enough to get you just about a battle pass point every single day. And because of that, you at least get a couple levels a day just from the battle pass when you're starting behind. And when I say battle pass, I do mean the entire free portion of the battle pass. This doesn't cost anything to get this experience, and you're capped at 2,400 points per week. So you want to try to cap out this many points as possible per week in order to get maximum experience. You do gain hilts from here, so go ahead and click all of your achievements, etc. as you go through this type of stuff, because you'll be gaining hilts, which we can use at the Hilt Trader. Now, the events tab isn't too important because most of these events aren't very big rewards, but you are going to be needing these blacksmith dust upgrades, essentially, in order to upgrade your equipment. So I do recommend going in here and at least doing these if possible. If for anything, for these Telic Pearls, because you're going to need 40 of these pearls in order to craft what might be, if you're free to play, your first 5-star gem if you're getting unlucky. So do make sure that you go in here and you are doing these every time there's an event up. Most importantly, though, our job is to go through the Hell difficulties. For instance, I'm Paragon 21, so I'm kind of still in Hell 1. Hell 2 is going to unlock Paragon 30, and that is when I'm going to be able to equip the next equipment. If you look, I've got some equipment that's from Hell 2 already, but I need 30 Paragon. So my goal is get as much equipment as possible to increase my combat rating so that I can get to the next difficulty to get more gear to increase my combat rating. So obviously, because of this, we're going to be doing the same thing from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, here to here, etc., etc. So our gameplay loop is what needs to be taught, and what is the thing that both raises Paragon as well as combat rating as quick as possible. Well, it's going to be the same gameplay loop up until Hell 5, because there is actually a difference. What's different about Hell 5 and up is that Hell 5 is when dungeons are going to scale to a 4-player difficulty regardless. So you can actually solo your 3 daily dungeons a day if you want from Hell 1 to Hell 4, and then it's going to be best to do it in a party, and you will also get the bonus chest for doing it in a party even from Hell 1 forward. And because the dungeons actually do give Bestuary points, it's not a bad strategy all the way until Hell 5 just to spam dungeons in order to get as much Codex points as possible. There is a secondary option, however. If you look at the blacksmith, we're going to need ourselves an absolute ton of upgrades in order to be able to upgrade this equipment to the higher ranks. And this is where catching up really starts to get very difficult. So because of that, the more monsters we kill, the more drops we get, the more salvage opportunity we have to salvage equipment to be able to do things like upgrading so we can do these reforging. So while the dungeons are pretty good for getting the set gear as well as giving us battle pass points, there's actually a way that gives us probably faster battle pass points as well as a guaranteed legendary every day, as well as even more materials to salvage. That's of course going to be Bestuary farming. Bestuary farming is pretty simple. There's monster essence. Every 10 monster essence, you can turn it into this altar, which is going to give you 1 guaranteed legendary per day, a chunk of experience, which does fall prey to your bonus, which is another reason it's really good, as well as Codex battle pass points. Gives you 40 of these. So, and if it's featured for the day, you can get 80 as well. Now, you get these monster essence points by just farming in the open world. You might think, well, why don't I just farm in a dungeon then and get those points and turn them in as well? Well, that's because the dungeon doesn't actually drop the monster essence bonus. So because of that, farming the open world tends to be the best way to get experience as well as salvage upgrades. And because you're killing more monsters than almost anywhere else, it tends to be the best legendary farming as well. So it's actually quite efficient. However, you don't just want to walk around and farm anywhere. You want to farm certain areas. Now, there are many farm spots on the map, and I have tons of videos just showing you where they're at if you're curious. But for instance, like my favorite one is the Plains of Torment. You just run in a circle here. Basically, you want to pick a spot on the map that has lots of spawn areas where monsters spawn at, and preferably ones where you notice a lot of elite spawning, and you want to run in a circle around that area over and over and over again. It has to be a place that by the time you've completed the circle, the minions start spawning again, so you can basically infinitely do kill streaks. The reason kill streaks are important is because you get bonus experience for having kill streaks. So the longer of the kill streak you get, typically the most bonus experience you get up into a certain cap. The cap is at 100, all further kills gain the same max stat bonus. Effectively, what this means for you, the person, is just keep the kill streak going as long as you possibly can. Don't worry about it too much. So you're just going to walk in a circle. You're going to farm everything you can in which area you choose to farm. You're going to pick up your monster essence, and every 10 you're going to turn it in. This is why having an overworld farming build, or a build that kills trash mobs the quickest while you're continuing to move, tends to be the best for the majority of your gameplay. These areas can also be high traffic, and it is better to group with people than not group with people. You will get bonus experience by having more people in your party. By that, I mean it's the same experience, but you have more people killing more things because, yes, you're actually sharing experience. If they kill something, you get the experience for it. So you're technically going to be getting more experience if you party with the people than if you don't party with the people. And the reason I push so heavily that factor is I'll see two people farming right next to each other competing for the farm when you literally just have to invite them to your party, and you will get factually more experience than sitting there trying to compete with them. In Paragon trees, Treasure Hunter also is a good bonus because it will actually give you bonus experience from killing elite monsters. There are other ones, for instance, like Massacre, that will help with kill streaks, etc. So there are other ones that you could potentially use. But if you're trying to farm a whole bunch and you're trying to get the bonus experience, I would probably use Paragon of Treasure Hunter from the start. Now, you can use auto pickup. I have all of them checked, as we need scraps, which come from normal and magic, as well as dust, which come from rare. But if you have way more scraps than dust, you could always disable the normal one and only pick up these. You'll get more scrap from magic than you will from normal, and rare is the only one that will give you dust. But we kind of need everything from the start, so I just have everything checked. Another good thing about being in a warband is you have the warband castle. So if you're out here farming, what you can do is you can hit the B button, open up the warband page here, and click go to the castle. It will immediately teleport you with no teleport animation. And within the castle, there's everything you need. You have the warband stash, you have your own personal stash, you have a blacksmith, you have the identifier, you've got all of the different things right there. Now, gems are going to be hard to get. Every single day, you'll get a free rare crest if you go to the Elder Rift. So make sure you're getting that every day. Your normal gems, you're going to be getting these from farming hidden lairs and doing 4-man parties. There's basically a limit of about 30 gems you can farm a day, not including fishing, because fishing is fairly inconsistent. So because of that, you want to farm as many gems as you can per day. And I have other guides already out there talking about how many you can get and how you get them, etc. So you can look for those if you would like them. But you really want to farm your secondary gems every single day. There's one other thing you want to make sure you're doing every single day, which is within the activities, and that's going to be your Sanctum. This is located in Westmarch. The Sanctum is extremely important because every day you get a free chest opening that is a minor amount of gems, but you need the gems, and these are different types of gems from the ones that you use, the normal and legendary gems. These are the ones to upgrade your Sanctum, and you need as many of these as possible because these give you secondary stats, and secondary stats really matter in PvE, but mostly they matter in PvP. So if you want to be able to participate in it all, you have to go and collect these different vessels. These different vessels are located around the map or within the Sanctum themselves. You have to fight bosses for some of them, and then you're going to place the vessels into the Sanctum, which is going to give you the ability to level up the vessels, which will give you more bonus stats like potency, resistance, etc. So these are very important to do every single day. You're going to go actually to here. You're going to use whatever gems you have. You're going to do the run all the way through the chest. And if you want to be the most efficient possible, you just do the free chest every day. And then there's 377 total keys needed, and you can acquire free keys every day. So you get as many keys as you can. You get 4 keys free from here, and then you get more keys throughout the rest of your dailies. You acquire as many keys as you can. Once you have 377, you do them all at once, because if you complete the Sanctum in its total, you will get another bonus chest. So it's mathematically the best just to take the free chest every day, stack until you have 377 keys, and then use them when you have 377 keys. This would be the free chest here. You can see you only get a few bonuses. I'll take them, and they get gradually more expensive with the keys. I only have 96 keys, so I'm going to wait till I have 377. Once you have all these vessels, you have the ability to level basically whichever different stat you would choose. Now, it's very tempting to only level damage, etc. I would level the cheapest one, just kind of level them evenly as it gets more and more and more expensive. However, the secondary stats that seem less tempting, like potency and resistance, can actually be smart to level here, as you can get things like pure life at other areas for more cost-effective pricing. As you climb the hell difficulties, you actually have to make sure you're doing challenge rifts as well. Now, you would think you don't need to, but if you look, you actually do. For instance, at level 19, it unlocks the ability for me to get hell 2 gear at challenge rifts, elder rifts, cyclist, strife, as well as vendors. So if you ignore this and you get all the way to like hell 6, hell 7, because you're climbing combat rating from just farming the overworld, then you go and spend all your gold in the vendors, etc. You're gonna be like, why is this gear like plus 20 stats? Like, why is it absolutely dog? It's because you forgot to climb your challenge rifts. You do have to climb these challenge rifts in order to be able to actually receive the gear from the other areas. So for instance, I have to get, if I want hell 2 gear, I have to be able to defeat challenge rift 19. You should have the combat rating to defeat these as you're climbing. If you can go into the next difficulty, very often you have the same combat rating required. As far as PvP goes, most people only do the 3 PvP battles per day in order to get the 3 bonus experience. I recommend doing 4 per day because if you want to have challenge badges, and how these deeds of valor actually work is you get bonuses based upon how you performed compared to the other people within that same bracket. Well, most people only do 3 battles per day to get the bonus, so if you do 4 per day, you're going to have a higher than, you know, whatever the average basically activity is for PvP, and PvP does actually affect your badges. If you take a look, for instance, participation, personal rank, and battleground, this is both for Shadow and Immortal. As far as what to do with your helts, you always want to buy legendary crests. These are always the #1 most important things. The mystery legendary item is basically a bait. You want to buy the Telic pearls as much as possible, and you want to buy your gems as much as possible. The gems are always going to be very important, as you're going to need a lot of these, and this is going to be what's going to be the hardest for you to catch up on is going to be the normal gems. So I would probably take normal gems. Purification shards are a little bit of a bait as well. These are going to be useful, but later on, you don't need to worry about these until you're basically at the absolute tippy point. You have to be at the best held difficulty where you're not really replacing your gear as often, which means your paragon's very often above server paragon in order to be at that type of position. So I wouldn't worry about spending money on the purification shards. Keys and charms can be pretty useful. I do think charms are a little bit underrated by most people. I, even myself, haven't talked about them very much on this channel, but they can give you good bonuses. Charms are also a good way to make platinum, as you can extract these and sell these on the market for good chunks of platinum, which you can use as free to play to purchase legendary gems. And you're going to need that platinum because the crest merchant will sell you legendary crest that you can purchase weekly if you are doing a warband raid. This is another reason to have a warband raid, and you can get a normal legendary crest every week as well, and you can get enough platinum just by doing your dailies for this. Keep in mind, while a majority of your combat rating is going to come from set gear and legendary gear upgrades, there is always the combat rating you do not want to forget from things like Heliquary raids, which these are weekly progression, things like the Ancestral Tableau, which is going to give you these bonuses from having your gear in here and upgrading your warband raids. These weekly upgrades, as well as the passive upgrades from things like gems, do have combat rating bonuses in them. The blacksmith upgrades, etc., does come into play at the later hell difficulties. So if you're wondering why it seems so difficult, some of these combat rating requirements are just going to come in over time, which is why at the very beginning of the video, the very first thing I mentioned to do was to get into a clan, not only for the passive experience in gold, but also for these combat rating bonuses. Before we wrap up the video, we have one more point to make. Now, if you're wondering what legendary gems should I focus on, where should I use my power, which one should I craft for my pearl, etc., we actually have another video where we just covered this on the channel, and it is popping up on screen right now.